So here we are in 1835 in what I think is going to be the last stock round. And here's where hard choices have to be made. I've already gone around at least once. All the half shares of the Prussian went. They're clearly very, very valuable at this point. If I look at the stock market effect and the amount of sheer money they bring in, the fact that even if trains go, they have the cash to build another train, so they won't be badly hurt by that. All these things made them very valuable, even though they're only half shares. We also saw the remainder of the Wirtz go, and you know, they're a solid company, 2 trains on them, producing well. Now we're left to the choice really between the bays. 1, 2, 3, 4, 50% in there. Good. I was worried that I had 60% in there somehow, which would be illegal. And nationalizing. Now, obviously, it depends on who you are, but nationalizing in this case, I'm looking at the Saxon. You pay a premium. You pay 50% of the price, which in this case is almost $100. What are the gains? Well, looking at about 20 bucks around. It's probably not worth it, unless the thing was just a beast producing money. It's not worth it for the Saxon player, but it may be worth it for some of these other players. And we'll see how that starts to fall out as it goes. But I think the Saxon player is going to buy himself a Bay certificate. These are losers. 10% shares of really, really weak companies. Totally uninteresting. In fact, those 20% shares may start ending up falling into the bank pool if there are better options out there. So this guy decided to do some nationalization. He sold a share of the Wirt, dropping its price, and paid, I don't know, 342 bucks for a double share of the Badish. The fact that it's a double share is definitely a piece of the convincing there. Now, he's just allowed the guy who owns the Wirt to pick up a Wirt cheap, which is kind of cool, but he wants, he looked at the ratings, and since he's already at limit, it seemed worth getting an extra share to pay that extra premium. That premium he's probably going to make up, and the extra share makes, well, he's definitely going to make it up, but he thinks he's getting a bigger advantage that way. So, onward. So, the stock round is over, and everything's pretty much sold out except for the Oldenburg. Let me go over what happened though at the end of the stock round. After everybody swept up everything valuable, the owner of the Wirt decided, I'm going to nationalize the Leitziachten, I think, as well, because he lost his to the Baden player. And he did that, and it started this chain event where things started getting taken from the owner of the Prussian, and he said, fine, I'm not buying Oldenburgs. I think the Prussian, given that it went up a row, I think it's still going to make more money than the Oldenburgs. I'm going to pay out for those. And everybody started nationalizing just because he would pick off somebody's Prussian, and then they would buy a share from him, so that he was buying Prussians from everyone. Maybe not the best idea. Maybe somebody should have targeted someone else and not had the Prussians be turned around. But it was kind of amusing to watch him have to spring all this cash out. And it was a lot of money. He's got 90% now. Badish, Wirt are both at 100%. The Hessian, well, he stopped. He's at 80. Because 20% are over here in the Bay's hands. The Bay actually nationalized some. The one person who didn't was the owner of the Sashish. And he was holding a 5% share. I really doubt that it would have shaken anything loose. he would have put more money into the Oldenburg. As it is, it's got a $160 in there now, which is enough to lay its track. You know, it's not going to do well, but all right, on with the operating rounds. Okay, so we crank into the second stock round or operating round, and there's a lot of tokens for dollars lying around. The only really interesting thing that happened, as far as I'm concerned, is the Hess ended up losing a train to the Mecklenburg-Schwerin. This is an attempt to get that 6th train out, try to crush some things, move some things along. I don't think it's enough, but it probably will turn out making a little bit of money for the guy who did it, as long as the bank holds out for 2 more operating rounds. As long as there's an extra operating round. If the operating round is going to crash this time, whether or not he does this, then it's a bad deal. But I think if he gets another run in, the reduced income that comes off the Hess will not be as big a penalty. Alright. So we've run through the second operating round up until the Hess. And the Hess is going to be buying a train. It won't be making enough to break the bank, so it will actually be able to buy a train. Might mean the gamble pays off. Now we move to the last operating round before another possible stock round. This almost definitely is the last one, however. I cannot see. See, the Prussian can buy another train, and they will. But no one else can, so we're not going to get to the 6+6s, so nobody's going to be forced to buy more than that. There's just not much money here. So, I'm thinking it's just going to run this one, and that's it. You know, we got things like the Oldenburg, finally got hooked up, making a run. He didn't dot anything, he didn't have quite the money to make it into Berlin. The Mecklenburg-Schwerin broke 30 on its run, which is pretty decent, you know, given that it's got fairly neutered route up here in the north. And I don't know. This is the part of the game I don't have a lot to say in, I guess, because it's just not that exciting. You're just racing for the win, you know. Trying to see, can I scratch out an extra $10? Yeah, it's just not what XX is about for me. Okay. Well, this may not be the last operating round. We got 3 more companies to go. And it's going to be close. In which case, the Prussian getting an extra train, and of course, the deals made here become much more valuable, as do the people who, except for the Prussian, who bought shares. Well, nah, it's going to end next time. Yeah, I was thinking that buying shares at the premium by nationalizing was a problem, but no, it isn't. There's only one operating round no matter what, so that's pretty cool. Sadly, we go to a stock round. There's a little bit of money left, not much. Oh well. And that is really going to help just about everyone except the guy who was most boned anyway by so the Oldenburg wasn't able to produce enough money. It only produced 19 a share. It only has 70% out. It didn't quite break the bank, and now everyone else is going to end up going up in stock value because they're sold out in Houston. Very painful for him. Alright, I doubt anything's going to move in the stock round. I would guess everybody's done what they intend to do. Let's seems exceedingly expensive to do a buyout at this point. Alright. Okay, indeed, nobody wanted to do anything. The share values go up. Except the poor Oldenburg. And you'll notice I threw a bunch of cash in. Everybody put in $1,000. For some people, that was actually a lot of money in the sense that they don't have much left. Others, they easily have another 1,000 or two in hand. It depends on who they are and whatever, but it's already showing is not close to a balanced game at this point. I'm not saying the game itself is unbalanced, I'm saying, and this is standard for XX, you know, usually when it comes down to it, there are a couple people who might be winning and a few people who, you know, are so far out of it. Alright, on with this operating round. Let me point one thing out that I really despise. Prussian, 3 trains on it, track, all intertwined. Chance of finding the best route, you know, it'll happen, but it's just so painful to calculate it. You know, this kind of thing just doesn't happen in 1830. It doesn't happen in the ones that I like the most usually. 61 I'm not so sure about, but 56 it doesn't happen. Even 70 it doesn't happen because there's such an open space. But anything with, this is the problem I have with 2038 too, is the amount of effort spent to calculate your runs towards the end of the game is just hideously painful. Alright, so the Prussian managed to run for 62 a share. 2 trains back here still, and 1 big one. And it wasn't really as hard as I feared running through here. When I saw that I could run the 6 straight through, I was pretty happy. And everything else kind of fell into place pretty easily because I was running the 3+3 and the 4 over here. Just for good measure, they dropped a dot down in Nuremberg Firth. You know, might cut somebody's run. And there's our final track lay. Guess kind of high points other than the huge run by the Prussian. The Hessian obviously was able to maintain good runs as well. I was kind of excited about the Mecklenburg-Schwerin getting a 38 run. Yeah, 2 trains, but its track doesn't look that great, and I'm pretty impressed that it managed that. The Oldenburg, I think, was running around 21, somewhere in there, which isn't bad either. Maybe even higher. It's got a pretty decent train there. So, you know, we're seeing everything kind of came to where it could run fairly heavily. Stock prices are going to be a huge determinant, of course. Because, you know, I mean, that's money you had sunk in all game that you weren't investing into other things in a lot of cases, obviously. Where you had, you know, the buyouts, the nationalization, that's a little different. You've sunk a lot of cash into them. I'll come back with tallies after I do that. Alright. Alright, so I spreadsheeted out the values, and it's no big shock. It was what I would have predicted 2 stock rounds ago easily. The only question is the magnitude. The guy who owned the Prussian, 5,085. He just had, you know, such a dominating, powerful... The track that was laid by the bay early on became so rich for the Prussian. And this is probably one of the best runs I've seen for the Prussian ever. Like I said, I never see the bay take the hit that way. Well, in second place, we pretty much have the guy with the Badish, and that thing was doing pretty well. There's no question. It's got good stock value compared to a number. And what kind of surprised me, the guy who did the Hess and ended up with the Mecklenburg-Schwerin, those extra shares helped out, I believe, significantly, because he was able to make them productive. Usually those last tier railroads are so iffy. Well, he got a number of good runs off the MS and was able to stay... Oh, remember, all these are about $1,000 short. Well, they're exactly $1,000 short. assuming I did calculations reasonably well. And then the next year we got the first railroads, the Bay and the Sash, and neither one did terribly well. I'm pretty sure this hurt the Oldenburg purchase. It just, I mean, this was the share that everybody was ducking and avoiding. But likewise with the Bay, you should be making early money with the Bay, and he swallowed way too much and got way too little off of it, I think. And then dragging the rear, and this I don't quite get, the guy with the work, significantly behind those other two, and I have no idea why he's so far back. Yes, the work never became potent at all. It was always cut off, but I don't know. And it took some hits, I think, due to stock sales too. Alright, I'll load this one up and then I'll be back with a review, I guess.